Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Can't Stop Snapping, the official podcast of MarvelSnapZone.com. Today we have a great episode for you, and we are 2 weeks away from the global release of Marvel Snap worldwide. So over the next couple of weeks, we hope to have several great episodes for you, kind of leading up with thoughts and ideas and opinions, etc., all leading up to the global launch, as well as some episodes right around launch for new listeners, new players of the game, etc., helping people to become acquainted with the history of the game thus far and where the game is going, etc. So, listeners, just want to say thank you for sticking with us as always. We hope you enjoy the episode. If you want to share your thoughts on the episode or the discussion in the episode, make sure to follow us on Twitter at can't_stop_snap. Let us know your thoughts there. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Can't Stop Snapping, the official podcast of MarvelSnapZone.com. Today, as promised in the last episode, we are going to have a conversation about the development roadmap for Marvel Snap. This was recently released by the Second Dinner team, and they've kind of given us our first sneak peek at what roadmaps may look like in the future, and kind of how they're going to organize those, etc. So as always, I'm joined by a great guest host. Today I'm joined by CoCo4. Coco, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Glad we were able to coordinate a time to get together. First things first, this is your first time on the show, so I just want to give you a chance just to help the audience get to know you. Just give us a quick overview of, how did you get to know Marvel Snap? What's your background with card games? And, what led you to make content around Marvel Snap?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so, in CoCo4, I actually started playing card games competitively when I was about 19 years old. I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually. So I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably for good 8 years almost. I had a small sponsorship with local store. I got nothing too crazy, a couple regional wins and a few circuit series tops and wins and whatnot, but nothing too crazy. And after that, like everybody else for the most part, I went to Hearthstone. Yep. And I played Hearthstone for a long time as well. Probably since GVGs when I started playing Hearthstone. Didn't take it too seriously for a while, and then the last year or so, I wasn't doing too much of the competitive grind, but I had a decent amount of higher legend finishes, like top 500, nothing too crazy. And then that's actually how I found out about Snap. It was when they did the first round of beta, and they had all the big Hearthstone streamers were playing it.
Yeah.
So I submitted my name into it, and that's how I pretty much got onto Snap, and I kind of fell in love with it ever since. Kind of ticks all the boxes for what I look for out of a card game. As far as content creation, I actually planned on starting doing Hearthstone content creation about a year and a half ago. Never got around to it. And then when this came out, I just figured I had all this stuff sitting here. Might as well give it a try.
Awesome.
And now I'm here.
I don't want to digress too much, but you said something interesting that made me think. So maybe we'll just spend 1 minute on this thought. But
yeah.
I remember back to that same time, right? So when the game was kind of announced and when it first went to beta for a couple days, they were just giving it to well-known Hearthstone streamers and other card game streamers, right? Interestingly enough, obviously, I don't know. Those people could still be playing, but most of the ones that I started following, not all, but most of the ones I started kind of following and I saw what they were doing, none of them are really streaming Marvel Snap anymore. I don't know if you've noticed the same trend.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Not to say that they won't when it's in global release and more people are into it, right? If all of their viewers are all of a sudden playing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I'm just interested to see how that changed, because really the people that have become kind of the biggest names or kind of the most known people in the community for whether that's Twitch or YouTube, etc., with Marvel Snap have been all people that are new to content creation or did a little bit of something else, whether that was Gwent or Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra, but then they've kind of gone fully to Marvel Snap. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's only one content creator I can think of, Jeff Hoogland's the only one that comes to mind who's been around for a while and still does Snap pretty consistent. Everybody else is pretty much homegrown on Snap.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Jeff, again, we won't digress too much longer, but I think the interesting thing about Jeff is that he obviously has made himself known for playing multiple games, right? He plays Magic, he plays Pokemon Unite, right? He plays multiple games, and not everybody can kind of make it in that way. Like some people don't do well with multiple genres. But yeah,
he's smart. He plays the games that allow for that like abstract creativity. Like,
yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And even when I know when he used to play Paper Magic and go to tournaments, he was always known for playing something closer to meta, but there's always some kind of spice in there with his decks.
Yep.
And like Snap kind of fits that whole MO.
Yeah. So I think maybe a lot of these creators, it's just Hearthstone's been their thing for so long that it feels like that's what's built up their user base. So if they do something else, whenever you shift to something else or try to split and do two things, you lose some of your viewers when you're doing that other thing, right? Until it builds up. So anyway, just an interesting subtopic. You said those words and this is what popped in my head. So I'm interested.
Oh no, I said the same thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see just if more people who are Hearthstone streamers start streaming Marvel Snap once it's in global release. So time will tell.
Hope so.
Yeah. Well, with all that being said, let's dive into the topic of today's episode, which is the development roadmap. So I just wanted to read through quickly here. They kind of gave us an image, the Marvel Snap development roadmap, and then they give us 3 sections, and we'll kind of talk about those 3 sections of what they mean as we go along. So they gave us a coming soon, and in development, and in concept. So I'll just kind of give the lists here, and then we will start to go through these kind of section by section. So incoming soon, we have global mobile launch, obviously October 18th, PC early access, localization 13 languages, welcome bundle, reward delivery inbox system, and variant rarity system. Then in the in development column, we have unranked mode, battle mode versus friends, collector tokens, PC widescreen UI, and titles. And in the last column, in concept, we have new competitive modes, guilds and social systems, in-game events, infinity rank leaderboard, collectible emotes and card emojis, and mythic variants. Okay, there's a lot there. So obviously we're going to have to talk in depth about some of these things, but maybe let's first just talk about kind of what these columns mean. And you know, I'm sure you and me have both kind of seen roadmaps for other games, right? And seen some different structures. So basically, coming soon means they said these are in the final phase of development, and these features are almost ready to release to players. So this is kind of like our, hey, expect these in the next couple patches is the way I'm reading it. I don't know if you're reading it differently, but I
kind of read it. I thought launch.
Yes. No.
I'd expect coming soon.
I agree with you in this case. Like most of these I think are coming at global launch, and I think they say that specifically. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. They have the same amount of items. I'm just saying in general, I think what would be in this column if they show us a roadmap 3 months from now, coming soon would normally be the next 1 to 2 patches, right? Like that's on deck, right?
Being polished, your stuff being polished up.
Exactly. In development, they say is basically game features in this section are actively being developed, iterated, and improved upon. So like those things are in development, but they're not. Maybe they're like 75% done or less, right? Everything kind of else in that category they've started on, but it's not quite ready to show or talk about. It's kind of the in development column, and then the last one is the in concept. This is kind of their, hey, we want to tell you it's an idea, but there's really no timeline yet. We haven't really started full development on these features, and it may never come to fruition. It may be completely different than we imagine it when we start, etc. So I guess just generally, what are your thoughts on this layout? Because I've seen other layouts that are more like, okay, this is going to be Q1 of this year. This is going to be Q2, Q3, right? Kind of more of a timeline on certain things.
Yes.
And this is more of kind of a conceptual phase of like how close they are to being released or being completed, but it doesn't really give us really any timeline other than obviously what's coming at launch. What's your thought on this structure?
I like it mainly because this is their first game and they are a smaller studio, and to give concrete deadlines with not the largest team could lead to a subpar product just to meet a deadline. Mm-hmm. If they give it to us more like this, more of a vague sense, we have an idea of what's coming, but you're going to get a lot less community pushback on the actual like date that it drops.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, that's kind of what they've done up until this point, right? It's like everybody's like, when's global release? When's it coming to open beta? When's it? this, and they're saying it's soon or it's a
And
little ways away. They don't. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I specifically like the in concept column. If I'm going to be honest, I like that. It's not promoted as a guarantee. They didn't say like we're going to have competitive modes. They're letting you know, hey, this is what we're thinking about. Like, they're not setting the bar too high for themselves. Like they're being. It seems reasonable. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, and I think some companies maybe wouldn't show what would be the equivalent of what's in concept here, because they may say, oh, well, we don't want anybody to know what's coming 6+ months from now, right? Because they don't have it fleshed out. I could see other companies doing that. But I guess what I do like to add to what you said is that with in concept, kind of the longer term stuff, it lets us know what we can give feedback on or ideas on, right? We're like, hey, they already are talking about guilds and social systems. So if you have ideas for guilds and social systems, or if lots of people do, like, you can share that now, and that could potentially help influence that feature, right?
I also think it's like really smart from like a marketing standpoint, because that's a good way to generate buzz and just conversation in a community, right? Because everybody looks, you can go on any forum for this game right now, and you'll probably find a million different ideas for competitive modes at the moment, or how the leaderboard's going to look, or our mythic variant's going to be this, that, or the other. So that's another way for them to market it and gather information.
Yep. Okay, well let's dive into these different columns now. So global mobile launch, pretty straightforward. That's the first thing coming soon.
Yeah, that comes out.
Yeah, it's like we already know that. PC early access. Maybe we can talk about that for a second. My understanding is, so that's coming through Steam. It makes it, I guess what I'm taking away from in development column, they have the PC widescreen UI, is that this original PC early access build is going to be probably similar to what the mobile build is right now. It is not going to be kind of their long-term PC widescreen user interface.
That's pretty much like I'm pretty sure it's going to be full screen still, right?
I think it'll be full screen. But it's probably just not like mobile. It's probably just not fully optimized. Like, hey, we're going to build this with PC screens in mind. It's kind of like what's the minimum they can do to like make it accessible for PC at launch, right?
Yeah, so it's like essentially it'll probably be like playing on BlueStacks, except just full screen.
Yeah, and it'll be running natively, so probably a little bit better performance for some people, right?
Certainly hope so.
yeah, or just people that like can't run BlueStacks, but like they could run a native Steam app. So yeah, so I think that's exciting. I think that will obviously, even though it's maybe not their full long-term plan where they'd like the PC client to be, like, it's going to bring people in at launch, which is great.
For sure.
Localization 13 languages. Again, not a ton to say there other than love to see it. I think that's adding to the accessibility of the game, and it's just going to help them to have a successful launch, right? They're going to be able to bring in lots of people of other languages at the start instead of later on.
Yeah. The more countries, the more support for the developers, so we get more content.
Yep, exactly. Right. So you and me were kind of talking here, but like the welcome bundle, I don't think it really tells us anything about the welcome bundle, right? Other than there's a welcome bundle, right?
Yeah, the only thing I think that I've seen for the welcome bundle are those 2 pre-register skins. I think it's like Iron Man and Hulk.
Yeah.
That's it. I have no idea what the welcome bundle is outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, we can make some guesses here. I mean, you and me have both played other card games, other digital card games, so like, it's that for the first week or 2 weeks, right? Or like if you log in every day, like you maybe get like one thing every day you log in. I mean, there's that structure a lot of times, or there's kind of just okay, once you set up your account, you get like 1,000 credits, and
Yeah, it's exactly what I was just about to say. It's probably credits in gold or something, or maybe like some skins, credits in gold, and just here's some stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Which with the way the unlock system goes through the game, I think that would be like awesome.
Yeah, I think it helps new players get jump started. It helps us players that have been playing for a while just kind of inch a little closer to maybe some cards we're still unlocking. Yeah, I mean, again, there's different structures of how these things are set up. I think the best for obviously keeping people or getting people in the habit of playing is kind of that, okay, for 14 days, if you log in every day, you get like a piece of the bundle every day. Because then it's like you get in the habit of logging in and playing every day.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that's what they'll do, but time will tell, right? I don't know exactly.
It's certainly a good idea. I think so. And I think, honestly, I even like the 14-day timeline. It does take about a week or two to actually like really get immersed, especially if you're just playing casually, right? If you want to get past the bots, like and all that fun stuff, you do need that time.
Yep.
Like log in and play.
And get some more cards and start to build some decks and kind of have the full experience of card unlocks, upgrading your cards, deck building, right? It's like you need that time. And I think with any game, whether it's a card game or not, it's like if you don't capture people kind of the first couple playthroughs, the first couple days they're playing, then
they're gone.
It's not likely they're going to come back to it in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely an important period for new players. So okay, next they talk about a reward delivery inbox system. That's on the list, and I don't think they gave us a ton of details other on that one either.
I found nothing in it.
Yeah, I mean, again, so it's pretty straightforward. I think that like other games, there's kind of an inbox of like, again, like here's your login bonus. Like you click here to like get that, right?
I hope it centralizes all rewards because it is kind of tedious sometimes. You have to click through all the different mission menus, then you have to go to your CLR and all that stuff just to,
yeah.
Give me one inbox. I just go click this, redeem. Be done.
Yeah, they definitely still have some UI work. I mean, obviously some of the game events are like not modes, but like some of the events they've done thus far have been like in the news tab. And that's like not very straightforward to like know where that is. So
I didn't find the Heroes for Hire until the second week of the event. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, well, my brother and sister-in-law, they've been playing the game and they're like, did it like go away? And they're like, but it had like moved to the news tab. And so like they didn't know that. And so they thought like the event was over after just a couple days. So this reward delivery inbox system, like you say, hopefully it helps kind of streamline some things. But I think there's still going to be some more work on the different tabs after that. Okay, let's talk about this last item in the coming soon. So this is the last thing coming at global launch, and this is what we got the most information about, and I think we can have a discussion. It's the variant rarity system. So let's just briefly go over how it works. So they say they're going to have over 1,000 card art variants available in Marvel Snap at global launch, which is crazy to me. I mean, I'm like, that's just...
It's a lot of variants.
Right? So much art, which is awesome, but it's just like, that's...
I'm a big fan.
So much to start, right? And they say some of these are going to be more rare than others. So 75% of existing variants will be labeled as rare variants, and their cost is going to go from 750 gold to 700 gold. And then 25% of variants will become super rares, and they will be available in the daily shop in one of your spots, I think, for 1,200 gold. So, and then they're going to kind of rework like the season pass will like have super rares instead of just like normal rares. So that's like another incentive to like get the season pass and get it. So just first things first, before we like dive into some ideas about like, how the system specifically works, like what's your general impression? Do you like this? Is this a thumbs down? Do you think this is a good direction for them?
For me, it's a thumbs up because it's a fair monetization system. That's the way I looked at it. Compared to what we had with Nexus events, this seems to me perfect. Yeah. Like if you're someone who loves skins and whatnot, and you want to spend money, go nuts. But you're not obligated to spend money because you can still get some of the stuff from the rewards track and whatnot. It's not like when they did the Nexus event, we had to like keep dumping gold. And I like the whole rarity of skins as well. Kind of incentivize you to want them, right? And they pop up in your shop. You're like, well, when's this going to pop up again?
Yep. No, I think
I like them.
I think it's good. Like, one, I love the art. Two, I think it's like
amazing.
You don't have to spend a ton of money to be better at the game, which you just said. Nexus events felt like that, right? It's like, yes, it's just one card, but then it's like if you had to pay $200 and only like 1% of players have $200 to blow to get like one card that maybe meta defining or not for a time, then that feels pay to win. It could be. This is just like, hey, if you love the art, you can get the art. If you don't want to get it, don't get it, right?
Yeah. And I think it will be a hit too, because it's not like other card games where they just release like when you see like variants or skins for their cards and whatnot, they're just a picture. They actually have like 3D animated cards on this, so they can get really cool with it.
Yeah, like each of them have so much detail. And again, we kind of already said this, but I think a side positive effect for like monetization is that by putting the super rares, I think that's what they're called, right? Rares and super rares. Okay, I'm still getting used to the terminology here. So the super rares will be in the season pass. So that's another incentive if you're like, oh, well, I'm going to get some super rares that I couldn't get else, otherwise, and I'm going to get them at a cheaper price than like buying them just with straight up gold. If you were to like convert dollars to gold to super rare cards, right? The best bang for your buck is going to be to get the season pass.
Yeah.
So that kind of helps maybe people that are kind of like, is the season pass for me? Does it have that extra value? This adds more value, and I think that will help drive the revenue with the season pass.
I for sure will be buying it. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I want my super rare variants.
Yeah. I think this kind of opens up. We'll get into this when we get to the third column because they talk about this. But like, collectible emotes and card emojis, I could easily see those being like something you could buy for like 150 gold, right? Or 200 gold. And I think that's a healthy monetization tactic as well, right? That's like, hey, this just can make the game more fun and like silly or exciting, and there can be the whole like emoji and kind of reaction meta, right? Like,
like if it's any like their first round of emotes, I'll be very excited.
Yeah. So I think things like this, skins, art, emojis, reactions, all these things that don't affect the gameplay or your ability to like be better at the game or have a competitive advantage, I think are great ways to monetize the game. So love to see it. Obviously interested to see which variants, because I mean there may be, I guess one downside is there may be variants that I haven't bought yet that I've like wanted to, and maybe I didn't when they popped up in my store, and now they're going to be super rares, right? And so then it's going to be more expensive. There could be some things like that. I guess some small negative side effects.
The opposite of buyer's remorse, right?
Yeah,
whatever that would be.
Yeah, seller's enjoyment. No, I don't know.
Saver's guilt.
Yeah. So, that's actually pretty good. Saver's guilt. So basically, I think this is a good change. I think it'll be interesting to see which ones kind of get the super rare denotation. But I think this is a healthy change overall. I think it helps them to make money off of what they're building in a positive way for the community.
Yeah. And the value seems to be there because from the skins we've gotten so far, especially with the animations and whatnot, the artwork is good.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't feel like they're just giving you whatever.
They're not like taking a screenshot
well thought out
a comic book character that's blurry and like, we'll just use this from the comic. They're like creating new art and working with so many artists. Yeah.
Like all the baby variants, you get the chibis, obviously the 8-bits that everybody loves. Or like the other day I freaked out when I got the wrestler Venom popped up in my store.
Oh man. Yeah. Man.
And I missed it last time. And then after I passed up on it.
If I wasn't careful, I would have bought like all the Carnage variants. They're all good.
This is actually the first variant I bought from a store.
Oh, nice. I have I didn't buy any of them, but I have now got every Doctor Doom variant. I have just opened them all randomly. Funny enough.
All of them?
Yes.
Maybe. Are you a Doctor Doom player?
Yeah, I have played him a lot. Yeah, I have played him a lot. And specifically, I wanted the baby one. And that was the one like I got last, or maybe it was second to last, but like I just was getting the other ones. So in the end I got them all. So now I've got them all. So it's great. Okay. Yeah. Let's dive into our next section here, which is in development. So they kind of give us some thoughts on several of these things. So be interested to hear your thoughts, CoCo, as we dive in here. So again, just to remind listeners of the list of the in development section, we've got battle mode versus friends, unranked mode, collector's tokens, PC widescreen UI, and title system. So let's talk battle mode versus friends. So let me just kind of explain to the listeners what this is first. So in battle mode, each player starts with 10 health, and the winning player deals damage to their opponent equal to the stakes of the game. If you double down and snap, you'll do 4 damage to your opponent instead of 2, or retreat early and only lose 1 health. Players will play a series of games against each other with the same deck until one player has no health left. So I think this is interesting. it sounds like this is the only mode like we'll be able to play with friends at first. Like you can't just do like a no stakes like play as many rounds as you want mode, right?
Yes.
But I think it's a good mode. I think it gives you kind of that like, hey, a face off isn't just determined by one match. It gives you a couple of matches, kind of a best out of X amount of matches to kind of determine a winner. What's your general impression? Do you like the direction they went with the friends mode?
Yeah, actually, I do. It's pretty much like what everyone was talking about before, like the first to 10 with cubes.
Yep.
I like it because, like you said, it more than one game to find a winner. Which in a game like this, when it's 12 card decks, hyper consistency, you can pretty much map out someone's deck list after game one. It allows for a lot more skill expression, especially if people are going to be doing like they say here, community tournaments, things like that. I think it'll be very, very interesting. And like with the whole health system, it still incorporates all the snapping. Like, it feels like you're playing the ladder experience, but not.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely a fan of that. And like they said here, I'm kind of a fan to see what kind of community turns we ran off it. And sorry, I was about to say something. It's the same deck. I was going to say I was curious if we can switch decks in between. But no, same deck.
That's exactly. I was going to go that direction with you because I wanted to know your thoughts. I mean, they could have gone a couple directions with this. I think there's some pros and cons. You're locked into one deck,
yes.
But I mean, another direction could have been like you bring 2 or 3 decks to the table, and you can like switch between them. So it sounds like that's what you'd like to see. Now, so let me play devil's advocate. Now that I know that, I think it may be too hard to like adapt and, like you say, play in and kind of like learn from your opponent's deck, like, and them learn from yours as you go through multiple matches. If you were both switching every round, right? I think that might get a little too confusing, especially where the rounds are so fast. You only have 12 cards. I think that might. I don't know. Like, part of me is like, I want that, but also I see the value in being locked into one because you're going to play maybe, let's say, 3 to 5 matches on average against the person. It like adds another level of skill because after the first match, you know what they're playing. So then it's like, okay, this next match, I can kind of anticipate, are they going to play Green Goblin, right? Because I know they have that. And like, what lane could that go into? So that may switch up your strategy, right? So I don't know. Yep. Let me know more of your thoughts there. Like, what are you thinking?
So I agree with what you're saying there. I was thinking more along the lines of something like to do with Hearthstone with Specialist, where you bring this, you have your 12 card main deck, and then you just like when you go to build a deck for the mode, right? The other 2 decks that you build can only be 3 cards different from your main deck or something like that. So it's almost like you have a sideboard. Because there's a lot of core strategies that can play like 3 or 4 different ways.
Yeah.
Like if you look like the Sarah Magic package, you can go the one way with, I think it's called Science they're playing now. You have a Miracle version of the deck you can play, or you have that like right in between, like the mid ground where it's like Miracle with like Shang-Chi and some tech.
Yep.
So if you're to do it like along those lines where you could change 3 cards in the deck, doesn't matter which 3, but like it has to be within 3. So this way you still have that aspect of like learning what you're playing against. But also, if you just bump into a matchup that is borderline unwinnable, it gives you some legs, right?
Yep. Like if somebody's playing Sandman and you're playing like kind of a Kazoo or just like flood the board type deck, right?
I can be playing Sarah Miracle and then have another deck that has Enchantress.
Yeah.
So I can match your Sandman on 4 with Enchantress or blow it out on 5 into Magic combo shenanigans.
Yeah. So interesting for sure. I mean, one, I think everybody just setting aside the rules and the mode for a second, exactly how it works, like just having the ability to like add friends and play against friends is great, right? Straight up, I think we all want it. We all have met people as we've been playing through the beta. We all want to play against them regularly, right? So that's just awesome. So glad to see that. Kind of going to the next section, which is, so they're adding an unranked mode, which they kind of, I mean, we've known this, right? So it's just your normal Marvel Snap. There's no snapping. There's no losing cubes. So it's just straight up, you play against random people and there's no stakes, right?
Yes.
So I think that like makes sense to like make the friend mode a little more competitive than just that. But I'd almost like to be able to see kind of both, where you could just play like unlimited matches until you're done against a friend and not have the life. But also, I guess that would not be great because with their current structure, you're like locked into a deck, right?
Yes.
And that wouldn't be fun forever. So yeah, so I think it's
No.
I don't think there's a ton to say about the unranked mode other than it's a welcome addition, and I think will help people with more creativity and trying things out.
I do like that they allow you to make mission progress even in unranked mode.
Yes, that is great. Yeah, because if you're just like, I want to finish these missions, but I'm tired and I don't want to lose a bunch of cubes right now, you can just kind of do
But
that.
I do think they should have a snap mechanic in unranked mode, because it right here says the perfect place to test new decks and strategies. It's hard to test a deck and strategies if you can't also apply your snapping to it.
Very true. So it's almost better to try out strategies in like the friends mode in some ways, right? Because the stakes are there.
Yeah. You use it as like a starting point for the deck, just to find out like your synergies within your deck.
Yeah.
But if you want to see if the deck can actually win in a match, like the ability to like present potential threats with snaps is like a big part of the game.
Yeah. Well, I guess my last question on these two sections for you is, do you feel disappointed that these aren't available at launch? And do you feel that will be detrimental to kind of as many players coming on board as would if these were available at launch?
Yes and no. So I don't think it's going to be insanely detrimental, but I think it will have an effect on people who are coming in, especially mainly the battle mode versus friends. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people who pick this up immediately would want to be playing with their friends right off the hop, especially people who are just getting into it because they like Marvel.
Yep.
You got to think about that group of players that will be coming in. They're not going to want to hop, especially because there's no unranked mode. No one's going to want to be hopping onto the rank ladder if they have no card game experience and they're just here to play their favorite superheroes. So not being able to have an unranked mode or battle your friends might hinder their play experience a little bit.
Yeah.
But due to like, I guess like who I think the card, like the type of person I think that would be coming to a game like this, I don't think it'll be too bad. I think they will miss out on some players, but I think there'll be enough people coming in who are coming from other games, whether it be Hearthstone, Magic, whatever, that they can get away with just having the ranked mode for a bit.
Yep. I think you're right. I think it'll be okay. I will say one thing, as somebody who works in their day job in software, I appreciate kind of the iterative and agile approach to this game, right? Because if they were like, we can't release the game globally until we have everything perfect and we have every feature and every mode, right? Then it's like the game's not releasing until next year, right?
Yeah.
But they've definitely taken an approach of like, hey, we're just going to do like one step at a time, one patch at a time, and get closer and kind of iteratively add things to the game. I think that's obviously letting them get feedback faster. I mean, that's the whole idea behind iterative and like agile software development is if you can get your products sooner to your customers, you can get feedback to make it better sooner, right? So I think that's good. So from a philosophical standpoint, I think they're going about this the right way to like make this game successful and get it out there sooner. So.
Oh yes, yeah, I'm super on board with it because like I said, I've been around the block with card games, and there's been a whole lot of mishandled things in my lifetime for card games that I will take the slow and steady approach over just release it and see what happens.
Yep. Okay, so the last piece of the in development section that they gave us details on is the collector's token. So let me read what those are for the listeners. So one of the most frequent requests we hear from the community is the ability to target specific cards for your collection. Maybe you're waiting on death to complete your destroy deck or Hela for your discard deck. Collector tokens are a new free currency earned on the collection level road that can be used to unlock the cards you want most in the shop. With the addition of collector tokens, we will be significantly dropping the amount of boosters from collectors' caches and reserves. The token shop features a card you don't own every 8 hours. If you don't have enough tokens yet, players can freeze the shop to lock in their targeting card. This isn't meant to be the primary way to earn new cards, but being able to target the couple cards you want most should allow you to build the deck of your dreams. We're planning to share more information about collector's tokens as we get closer to release. Stay tuned. I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm just going to say hallelujah. I think this is great.
I'm on board.
I mean,
with hallelujah.
They just knew what people want to hear. We're going to have less boosters, right, that you're unlocking.
Yes, thank you.
On the collection level, right? Those are the sweet words everybody's been waiting to hear. You're going to be able to target specific cards. Yes, it's not going to be any card anytime, right? But I think it's pretty fair to rotate 3 cards a day, right? Every 8 hours. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't have tokens, it's not going to be like, oh, I don't have enough tokens. I have to pay $5 to get the tokens I want. You can freeze it and just hold it there until you have the tokens, right?
That's my favorite part about all of it.
So this is super player friendly, right? It's like, hey, we're going to still do that randomness because they want people to unlock cards at different times and try out different things at different times. So we get that, right? So they're going to keep that aspect of it. But hey, you wait a couple days, you check in every 8 hours. Eventually, you're going to find the card you're looking for, and you're going to be able to get it, right? So I think that's awesome. I think this is super healthy, super great feature. Again, they make the point that saying, hey, basically we're going to add other things to unlock cards. This isn't meant to be the primary way. There's going to be other primary ways to unlock cards in the future, but this is helping us get there, right? Hey all, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you about MarvelSnapZone.com. Marvel Snap Zone is a one-stop shop for everything Marvel Snap on the internet. They have new articles nearly every day that cover deck building, strategy, card breakdowns, etc. They have a great collection tracker tool and a deck list builder that works off of that collection tracker so that you can know what decks you can build with your current card collection. They have guides and deck lists for all level of players and all collection level of players. Make sure to go to MarvelSnapZone.com and check it out now.
Yeah, and it also allows it to deal with that issue that everyone's having with like whales. Because I understand if you want to whale the collection track, you can, but it's not guaranteed. And this way you can still get cards, but you can't really whale it in the same sense. You're still limited to 3 cards a day, assuming that you're there every 8 hours on the hour.
Yep. So I think it's a great change. I think a lot of people are going to like it. Obviously, not coming at global release, but hopefully coming in the next few patches, maybe 3 or 4 patches out. I'd love to see something like that. I think that would be great. The last 2 things. Go ahead.
I just wanted, with what you were saying, I want to touch back because we were talking about the other 2 being like detrimental. I think this not being at release might be a little more detrimental than the other 2.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but this is not being able to target specific cards has been a complaint from day one, right?
There's that, and when you're looking again, when we were talking about like the player bases that are coming in, if someone happens to go watch a stream or they're watching the trailer, the content, and then they see the card that they want, and then they learn about how the collection track works, and they figure out that like, okay, I still have to get to pool 3 to get there, and then it could be months until I unlock it, depending on how much I win.
Yep.
Without having this at launch, I think that might be even to like competitive players coming in, they might not see the value in playing for that long.
Yeah. So hopefully, basically they give us this list of in development. Does not mean this is the order these things are going to come out, and I would doubt that they all come out the same day, right?
Yeah, I'd assume this would come out sooner than later.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming it's probably been in talks since the whole Nexus event.
Exactly. So they probably had some time to work on this. So I agree with you. I hope this comes, like if I had to pick stuff coming first, it would be the Friends and this out of the 5 things that are in development right now. Yep. So the last 2 things on the list, they don't give like as a detailed paragraph about, but PC Widescreen Ui, pretty straightforward. They're just going to be iterating on the PC client and making that a better experience. I'm sure that streamers, content creators are all going to love that, right? Because a lot of people are going to choose to stream there, and having kind of a native widescreen view is going to be great.
Makes it a lot easier.
Last item, they give us nothing on, I don't think. Titles system. What do you think the titles system is?
Probably similar to like other games. You're gonna have like your bronze, gold, silver, then your grandmaster, and I'm assuming it'll be stuff past infinite.
Gotcha.
If I had to guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you got X amount of cards, you get like a cool color on your name, something to do with the CLR, maybe.
Yeah, definitely could be. I don't think it's like the ranking system after Infinite, because they have a different line in concept for Infinity rank leaderboard. So I think that's something separate. But yeah, it probably is something you can earn. It's kind of visual with your name, your username. So it's like people can identify you, whether that's how far you got up in the last season or, that's probably...
Actually, I hope the majority of them aren't actually tied to rank.
Yeah.
I'd rather see them be available to like at any point in the ladder just by getting random achievements or like you've completed this many missions. So
Yeah, or this many
if,
cards, or this many X-Men cards, or
yeah, if you've collected X amount of variants, you get this fancy title.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things I could do with it. It's not something like that's like my out of the 5 in development, like the least we know about, and also the least I'm interested in currently. But that doesn't mean I won't.
Yes.
Once I learn more, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Really kind of depends on the implications of what a title is.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
we don't.
Is it just visual? Does it do anything else? Does it get you into a game mode, etc.? Right. Okay. Last section, in concept. So this is kind of the longer term things. We don't know when these are coming. These are farther out. They probably haven't started, or they're just kind of like designing them. Maybe they haven't like really started coding them a ton. They're just kind of maybe playtesting and just figuring out what would be a good idea. So we don't have any like broken out paragraphs here. So let's just, I'll remind the listeners of the list here, but then we can kind of see which ones catch our attention here. So we have new competitive modes, vague, guilds, in parentheses, social systems, in-game events, infinity rank leaderboard, collectible emotes and card emojis, and mythic variants. I'll turn it over to you first, Coco. Like, which one of these 6 stands out the most to you?
New competitive modes, for sure. Stands out to me the most. I guess almost hand in hand with infinity rank leaderboard, but I'd put new competitive modes just above that for myself personally.
Yeah. I think that, a lot of ideas have been shared in the community, on this podcast, and other people's content. If you had to pick like one competitive mode that you could, take from another game, and you can tweak it if you want, but like, what's the game mode you're wanting the most, the soonest?
Poker is where I would want to take it from. So, a friend of mine, actually, we kind of came out, he had like the overview of like the broad idea of how this works, but like when I think of it, I think imagine like you go into, so when they're saying competitive modes, I'm assuming that's like similar to like drafting and stuff where you're going to sit down and play some kind of either tournament style thing in the game or something like that.
Yeah.
So kind of what we came up with would be, I'm just going to use like some random numbers here. Like you start with 50 cubes and you're seated in pods. And then as you snap and play, like you can gain and lose your overall cube total. And then you win your pool to move on to the next table type thing.
Oh, interesting. That is one I haven't heard of that, but that is very interesting.
I know that one of the issues with that might be if you get stuck kind of in an infinite loop where no one's actually losing. So at that point, you can put a time limit on the tables and say like the top 2 highest cube holders will win that table. So there's incentive to actually snap and play aggressively.
Yeah, because you're like, this only lasts for the next hour or something.
And also, if someone gets too much of a gap on you, they're just going to play safe and retreat on snaps, right? So you got to kind of weigh your options, and then you might see a lot with that kind of game mode. You're going to see different styles of decks and metas kind of shaped there, right?
Yeah. No, that's
because maybe something a little more consistent, more aggressive might be better than something that's a little more high risk, but can get you a higher cubes on a snap. But if you're retreating too often, that gap might be too big to actually cover by the time the time limit's up.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. I think that's a great idea. I hadn't heard that one, so I'll add that to my list.
Main credit goes to my mod there, Sir Skeet. It was mainly his idea. I don't want to take all the credit for that.
Well, yeah. That we like to give credit here where it's due. So
yeah,
you have to make sure he checks this out so he can hear you the credit given. But I would love to see a draft mode, right? Like you kind of like build the deck as you go, and like you can switch out cards as you go, and it's just like you're seeing how many wins you can chain together, or you're trying to get to 12 wins or something number, right? Mm-hmm. Love that. I think other games have that, but by the nature of these being smaller decks, quicker matches, it's like you can get through that like faster, right? But still,
now, would you want to see draft like similar to like Hearthstone, or more like the Magic style where you're in pods, or like it sounded like you're talking something more like around like draft meets sealed? Because you're talking about like switching your cards in and out as you go.
So what I'm imagining, and I'm probably piecing together a couple different things. I have more experience with like Legends of Runeterra, and this isn't directly what they do, but it's like you get some cards, like you pick some cards to like start your deck, right? And then after you win a game or win 3 games or something, then you like get to pick from a pool of 3 cards to like switch some cards out with your deck, right? Or things like that. So something like that where
That's pretty cool.
It's like you kind of you're kind of forced into like an unideal situation at first with the kind of deck you build, but then you can like kind of like go towards a certain archetype over time, right? Like the more times you win, the more cards you get to like switch out, etc. And you can play with cards that you haven't unlocked in the game yet. It's like in this mode you'd have access to all cards, right?
Oh, that sounds like very interesting, honestly.
Yeah, so then it's like you get to try.
I would play that.
Try out new cards. You get to try out new deck archetypes. You have to play in unideal circumstances, right? Because you start out with a deck that's really not jiving. But then it's like you can make it
kind of like duels, but like not duels.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. So I would love something like that.
This game seems tailor made for that because like one card change in a 12 card deck is
exactly
like monumental.
Exactly. So it's like, oh yeah, I got to drop my wasps for, Wong, right? Or something. It doesn't matter. But like, it's like, okay, that enables this combo I couldn't do before. But it's like, you're not really like a Wong going deck yet, right? Because it's like, you don't have all the cards, but it's like, your deck's just a little bit better, right?
You got to build those small synergies and whatnot. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
that's challenging too.
And you have to decide if you want to pivot because it's like you could be like, I'm getting cards for this kind of an archetype, but I was going this direction, right? So you may need to like pivot your strategy with your deck as you go through. Anyway,
just like a draft as you go, and I really like that idea. I really do.
So second dinner, I know you're listening. Make this happen now.
Please. I play that I didn't even play that as a casual mode. That just sounds fun in general.
Yeah. I mean, people have been doing variations of like they have like a separate website that they've made where they can like kind of do similar-ish things, right? Where it'll tell them what cards to pick. But obviously having that built in the game and stuff would be great. And obviously rewards would be great. It's like if you can win, chain together 12 wins or something, then you unlock this variant or this.
I'd be okay with them if especially if they're giving rewards, they can even monetize that the way they do with arenas. Make like 100 gold to do a run. I would pay.
Yep.
Take my money.
Yeah. We got to be careful how many times we say that,
Yeah. Okay. Don't take my money. Yeah. Let me keep it. Sorry.
Awesome. Okay. Let's jump down to the bottom of the list. We'll come back to some of these other ones. Mythic variants. So that sounds almost like a third tier of variants is how I'm taking that.
That's what I would assume.
Right. So this is like, so we're going to have like a 75% and a 25%, but maybe we'll switch to like a 70, 20, 10 or like kind of percentages. So like the mythic variants that are like that highest, rarest tier, most expensive.
Do you like that 5% chance?
Yeah.
Make it just really absurd.
Yeah, well, and also I don't, at least the way they've worded it thus far, I don't think it's going to be a chance. It's just like the cost is different between the different tiers, but then like it sounds like the season pass, for example, it's like you'll get super rares, right? But maybe it's like you get super rares you get random super rares, but then at the level 50 you get like one mythic variant, right? Or something like that. And then you can also buy them in the store and it's 1,500 gold or something, right?
Yep.
So I could see something like that. So they're just kind of iterating on that and probably iterating on that monetization framework.
You think they would just be better artwork, or do you think they put like a very specific animation to the mythic variant that would make it like?
I would like that better because it's like once you just start getting like tier, like one, like art is subjective, right? You could be like, I know you're saying this is mythic, but like this one's garbage, and right, or vice versa. So I would love if it was like had a special like effect on the card, right? Like
or even like its own special border color. Like you could upgrade it normally, but it gets its own flavor of.
Exactly, you're speaking my language. Yeah. That would that would be awesome. Would love to see that. Okay, collectible emotes and card emojis, and we talked a little bit about this earlier. My guess is this is just you're going to be able to collect them and switch them out, but I'm guessing there's going to be some monetization. These will be kind of the cheap end. These will be cheaper than variants, would be my guess. I
assume so.
1 to 200 gold, and you can load up on these, and you can build your loadout of card emojis and collectible emotes, right?
Yes.
I'm fine with this. I don't know. I wouldn't know if I'd like want to buy them until I see them, right? And like what the value is, but I think it's another great monetization tactic that definitely people will spend money on and will help them generate revenue. So
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm a little bit impartial to it. On the flip side, though, if they, like I said, the emotes they've already done, specifically the meme ones, I would probably spend gold on them.
Yeah.
I could see those being a hit. Like the one they had now with the Spider-Mans pointing at each other.
Yep.
If that was a purchasable emote, I maybe wouldn't buy it right away, but like give it enough time of me staring at it, and I probably would buy it.
Well, and especially if they were like 1
Sure.
to 200, right? It's like you're like, oh,
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm gonna get that today playing, right? Like just unlocking my
Yep.
caches or something. So it feels very easy. Now, obviously, okay, they're a company, they need to make money. Their hope is that you're gonna spend the free gold you get in game, and then eventually you're gonna want to buy things, so you're gonna spend real money, right? And some people will, some people won't, but I think it's people can really easily make the decision to buy these with gold if they're at a low price.
Yeah, it's like the candy bars at the grocery store, right? Just impulse.
Yep. So they're at the checkout, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they'd get me with them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think they'd get me with some of them too. Okay, we've got a couple more here. I'm kind of leaving the biggest ones for the end. So let's talk in-game events, and we'll leave the last two. In-game events is kind of vague because you've got like new competitive mode, and then you've got in-game events, and like there's like, to me, like certain ideas could kind of cross over into both of those, like the way you describe them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like what do you see being different, like an event versus a mode?
I think they'll probably do the events very similar to the way they're doing it now. Especially because the way they had them in the news tab and their own separate thing, that seems like they were like testing out how they were going to have a UI for them.
Yeah, it's like join a team.
I would assume that it would just be like, join. And maybe they'll be more frequent. They might like weeklies and monthlies.
Yep.
Where it's like, oh, if you play these cards in your deck this week, you get extra whatever it is they want to give you.
Yeah, and like you say, they've been testing out like a surprising amount, like more than I thought they would before release of like those kinds of things. But just the way they've had the app built, they're like not super accessible or present.
Yes.
So obviously,
I like
this kind of iteration. Once they put them in, it'll probably be its own tab or accessible from one of the tabs we already know, and will be more advertised to the players.
Yeah, and I personally I've liked them, mainly because like especially like in the community Discord. For like the Marvel Snap official Discord, there was like a lot of talk about it. People were sharing their decks, and kind of opens the door for some creativity with cards that you normally don't see a lot of play with, which is always interesting.
Yeah,
and there's been some ideas that have come up from them that have stuck for a bit, like Agent Carter with Captain America in his negative deck. Yeah. I don't know if that was innovative, but I never saw Captain America there. I always saw Punisher, but then Captain America, even after the event, kind of stuck around for a little bit. Not too long, but like you see some things like that, or like everybody started pushing like Black Widows. You saw how many more Black Widows do you see now as opposed to pre the last event?
Oh yeah, tons.
A lot of those decks have just stuck around because they're like, oh, this is actually good.
Yep. Yeah.
So I like those, and more rewards, other ways to earn things in game.
Yeah. So love to just see more to do in the game, right? Events, modes, etc. So okay, saved I think kind of two of the biggest ones for last here.
Yes.
So let's talk guilds first. Guilds and social systems. What would you love to see?
See, I've only ever really played like 2 games that have guilds. I would, I guess, just like to see the ability to just like create your own team with your friends type thing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see too much leaderboard stuff when it comes to the guilds and whatnot. Yeah. I've never been a big fan of that. It just, there's a lot of, you start to see power stacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like where it's like a bunch of like people who like are clearly the best. It's like, we'll make our own. And then they win all of the stuff all of the time.
Yeah. And nobody really has a chance. It is kind of hard.
I mean, I'm not super against it. Cause even if that was some kind of game mode, it's just not something I would partake in myself. But if it was more of like just casual, like you do stuff with your friends, and yeah, there will be, maybe there is some like rewards or giveaways or things like that. I just hope it's not like too over the top where it incentivizes just like stacking a team and winning as often as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there's that audience for it, right? Like I like you haven't had like a ton of experience with guilds or like got super involved when that's been an option. But there's obviously an audience for it, brings more people into the game, brings some like social aspects into the game, so that like keeps people playing because they're playing together, communicating about the game. So I think it's like a positive thing, and it's just something like you kind of have to have in today's gaming, landscape, just because it's kind of expected.
And I hope I would like it to let you share resources within your guilds. Like that would, and if you let me do that, then do whatever you want on the competitive end. If you're like, oh, I can like give my buddy credits, or I could put like a guild community credits, and everybody can use X amount per day, then I'd be okay. I would love to see that.
Yeah. No. So, the hope is that Second Dinner puts their own spin on it, right, and kind of makes it.
I'm sure there will be probably something hero-esque or villainy-esque, however they decide to do it.
Just let me join the X-Men, right? That's all I want.
Yeah, please and thank you. I guess my initial assessment. I'm not like down on them. Like I'm not saying they're bad.
But I mean, we're talking about a lot of things here, right? We've talked about a lot of topics, and they don't have to all be for everyone. Totally get that, right?
There's definitely a place for them. Like I said, I would not partake in the competitive guild stuff if that's what it is. That's all.
Yep. Nope. Totally understood. Okay. Last but not least, Infinity Rank Leaderboard. So you kind of alluded to this a little bit. And obviously, not everybody's making it to Infinite, but a lot of players are. That number's going to increase when we have more players, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, I mean, the benefit of being at Infinite, like obviously you get, whatever the last reward is for that season by ranking up, but there's not much to do beyond that other than just like keep ranking up, and like you have the floor, so you can't like go below level 100.
Yeah, you play all the fun decks,
but it's like you don't really know where you like rank up against other people once you're at that point, right?
Yes.
So I mean, obviously leaderboard, it's like straightforward, it's in the name, like being able to see where you like rank up once you're in the Infinite rank. I guess, is there just any nuances you'd like to see, anything you'd like to see carried over from other games? Like, what would be your ideal situation here with the leaderboard?
For me, the ideal situation leaderboard is just the number. I think that there's plenty of rewards given out on the way up, and generally, if it's just number, for the most part, the people who are actually hitting it, like the top ends of the leaderboard, we're talking like your top 100s and whatnot, generally tend to be people who are the hyper competitive bunch anyways. And you're less likely to see people either win trading for stuff or any kind of cheesing just to get whatever reward is at the next floor. And and also just my like for a leaderboard is meta development. Right now, like you said, when you hit Infinite, not much to do. So in order to like try and like push new ideas, it's hard because a lot of times you're not bumping into other meta decks. You'll be bumping into fun decks, or like someone trying to onslaught Mystique Wong you for 35 minutes. Right? When you have a leaderboard and people want to see their name at the top, you're going to see a lot more competitiveness in the builds that come out, and I think we'll see better meta development.
Yep. And I think with more players, them kind of tuning down the bots a little bit, making people match up with more human players, all of these things like coming together with the leaderboard, like it really pushes the competitive landscape to like keep pushing people to be the best and to rank up and to be number one, right?
That's why I said I just want to see for me personally, I just want to see the number. I don't want to see any rewards tied to that. Maybe if they do something along the lines of Hearthstone, they had like tournaments. Sure, maybe you can have like your rank can give you points towards whatever, like towards invites for tournaments, things like that. But I wouldn't want to see any more in-game stuff earned past Infinite.
Yeah.
Maybe I've played too much Hearthstone and IS, but I don't know.
No, I mean, it definitely can be discouraging to players. They're like, I'm missing out on all the coolest rewards, all the coolest variants. Like if they were to put like all these variants you could only get if you like got into ranked, right? Then it's like you're gonna have 90% of the user base, 90% plus probably, right? Like not get those ever, and that can make people stop playing. So,
and at this point, I feel like even going forward, much like Hearthstone, they have it set up where you can get to Infinite at sub 50% win rate.
Yep.
Right. So like if you really want that end, like that card back, if you just play enough, you'll probably get there. The minute you start adding stuff at like ridiculously high floors, it's just discouraging, like you just said.
Yep. Well, awesome. That is the development roadmap. This has been a big conversation, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to think about. Just very quickly, CoCo, like overall thoughts again. I kind of asked you at the beginning, like Just where's your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 that where Second Dinner's taken the game with this information they've given us?
I'd say like a solid 8 for sure. There's like I said, as we've talked about here, there's a couple things I'm a bit shaky on, but like overall, they seem to be handling it pretty well, especially for like card games. They're not overselling themselves, and it doesn't seem like they're putting too much on their plate. Yeah, Second Dinner, too much on their plate at one time. It seems like a very easy. No, I wouldn't say easy is not the right word. It seems like a very smooth way for them to like roll things out.
Yep.
They're not too much pressure. They're giving a very realistic expectations. Like you say, you come from the software world. I'm sure there's a lot of tricky things that come with developing stuff that the average person like me just would never even understand.
Oh yeah, I mean every customer wants every feature yesterday, right?
Yeah, it's like Jenga, right? You move the wrong block, it looks like it can be moved, feels like it can be moved, but you change the color on this card, all of a sudden half your UI doesn't work.
Yep.
Oh, that's why I do like the way that they've broken it down. Everything seems to be like pretty realistic, and it doesn't give me that expectation of like supreme greatness on October 18th just to be let down. It's like, hey, it's going to be good. Here's some more ideas that will be coming out as the patches go forward.
Yep.
So I like it.
Yep. No, I think I feel similar to you. I'm probably around that 8, give or take half a point. And I think they've done so much right. I think they've regained our confidence. I mean, you look back to Nexus events, and that was our darkest days thus far.
Yeah, that was huge, though, what they did after that. That was borderline unheard of. Like, take everything back, and everybody gets the rewards that were within it. That was crazy.
So they're in my good books. I have hope. I feel like they're taking us on a good path. I'm very excited. CoCo, I just want to
100% agree.
I just want to say thank you again for being here. We've had this great long conversation. Appreciate you for making the time. Before we go, I just want to give you a chance to just give a shout out. Where can people find you? How can they best consume the content you're putting out?
All right, well, I don't have too many platforms right now, but you can find me on Twitter, CoCo4CCG. And then you can find me at Twitch. Right now it's CoCo_4 FOUR, not the number. I'm trying to get the number back. I had it in my name before, and Twitch just won't answer me to get me my name back. But yeah, those are the two places you can find me. And then same thing like in all the Marvel Snap Discords. I'm CoCo4 on there as well. Awesome. And then you can find me. I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays at 9 p.m. till 11:30 at the earliest, and sometimes we go late as well.
And that's Eastern time.
Oh yeah, Eastern time. Sorry, Eastern time.
Nope, just want to make sure that people know where and when to find you. So awesome.
Thank you,
CoCo. You have a great night, listeners. Appreciate you as always listening. We will catch you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me.
Can't Stop Snapping is a podcast written, recorded, produced, and hosted by Michael Thurman. Thanks for listening.